Please join me in Gashom. Namo Amida Buddha.
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 Namo Amida Buddha. Namandats. Namandats.
Juseige. Gagon chosegan hishimu jodo shigan fumanzo seifu joshoga gao muryoko Fui dai seishu, fusai shobingu, seifu joshoga, gashi jobundo, myosho chojipo, Kukyo Mishomon Seifu Joshoga Ryokujin Shonen Choe Shubongyo Shigumu Jodo Isho teninshi Jinriki endaiko Fusho musaido Shoujo sankumyo Kosai shuyakunan Kaihi chiegen Meshi konmoan Eisoku shoakudo Tsudan zen shumon Kosojo manzo Iyoro jipo Nichigan shujuki Tenkon fugen Ishu kai hozo Kose kudoku ho Jodai shuchu Seppo shishiku Kuyo isaibu Gusoku shutoku hon Gane shinjoman Tokui sangayo Nyobut mugechi Tsudan zen shumon Gamgaku erik Toshi sai shoson Shiganya kokan Daisen no kando Koku shotenin Touchin myoke Namanda Gam ni shikudoku myodo seisai do Daishin Ojo Aham Ranko. Namo Amida Buddha.
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 Namo Amida Buddha. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Ryogemon, Ryoge Shitsugon. Moromoto no zogyo zashu, jiriki no kokoro wo furisutete, isshin ni amida nyorai, warare ga kondo no ichidaiji no gosho, ontasuke sorai to tanomi mo shite soro. Tanomu ichinen no toki, ojo ichiro ontasuke jijo to zonji, kono ue no shomyo wa gon hosha to zonji, yorokobi mo shi soro. Kono on kotowari, chomon mo shiwake soro koto, gokai-san shonen goshusei no goon. Shidai sojo no zenjishiki no asakara zaru gonkanke no goon to, arigataku zonji soro. Kono ue wa sarame okase raruru on okite, ichigo wo kagiri mamori mo subeku soro. The Creed. We rely upon Tathagata Amitabha with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our powerless self. We believe that the assurance of our rebirth through his compassion comes at the very moment we rely upon him, and we call upon the name Namo Amida Butsu in happiness and with deepest gratitude. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and succeeding masters who have led us to believe in this profound teaching. And we now do endeavor to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
All right, good morning, everyone. Today we are observing the July Shotsuki service. The Shotsuki service is a monthly observance where we come together to remember those we have lost in any given month. If you would like to, at this time, as I read the Shotsuki names, if you have someone on this list or have someone who passed away in the month of July, you may, if you have a home Butsudan, go to it now to offer incense in their memory. Himi Morishige, Yasutaro Yoshihara, Tamiko Koyano, Masae Kawabe, Kei Kazuo Nita, Nancy Shizue Nita, Roy Inoue, Fred Kiyotake, Ethel Yoshiko Sato, Harry Nita, Shigeru Morishige, Sakae Kusumi, Kizo Takata, Chigi Aigaki, Henry Shigeo Doi, Mitsuo Fukui, Kansuke Kinoshita, George Saito, Cliff Merle. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo. Okay, good morning again, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this service today. Please join me in Gassho. How long the night to the watchman, how long the road to the weary traveler, how long the wandering of many lives to the fool who misses the way. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namanda. Okay, so the passage I just read is from the Dhammapada, which is a book containing what are said to be the direct sayings of Shakyamuni Buddha. And in this passage, we are referring to, first of all, the watchman. And when we talk about the watchman, we can see it in two different ways. The first would be the awakened person with a capital A. And how long the night to the watchman means that they are able to see how far-reaching and deep-seated the foolishness or the samsara of the world is. And when they see it, they know that this is very, very deep, but there is a way possible for all of us to attain awakening. We can also see it in another sense, that how long the night to the watchman. And that can be that we have the awakened person, but awakened with a small a, meaning kind of in the same sense as when you are up at night tossing and turning, and so the night seems very, very long because you cannot get the rest you need, and when you sort of get up, and maybe not wake up in the morning because you've already been awake, but when you get up in the morning, you just feel exhausted. And the next part of the passage says, how long the road to the weary traveler. Now, again, sort of referring to this long, long passage of time where we are struggling and trying to get through things, but it seems very, very long. And if anyone has ever done a particularly long hike and weren't sort of expecting quite how long it was, or maybe how difficult it was, the road can seem endless. Even if we can see our goal in the distance, trying to get to that place may not be as easy as we think. So also referring to the path of the Dharma, that we know what the goal is, we can maybe see it in the distance, but trying to get to a point where you can see how long this night of suffering is. And it's a very long and difficult road. And the third part of the passage is how long the wandering of many lives to the fool who misses the way. And again, all ties back to our samsaric existence, that we live these many, many different lives, and not necessarily in the reincarnating through lives sense, but every time that we go through another change in our lives, it's another way for us to get distracted from our paths. So how long do we wander through these many different stages of our lives and find ourselves having missed the way? Now, the thing that I kind of focus on with this passage today is just the idea of weariness. How long the night, how long the road, how long the wandering. And what made me think of it is that our lovely Reverend Katie is working and almost done with her master's degree. And not this coming semester, but the semester following, she will be in thesis mode. And I cannot tell you that even the thought of thesis mode makes me exhausted. And Reverend Katie, this is not to scare you off of it. I know you can do it, and it's going to be so worth it in the end. But oh man, how long the nights, how long the road, and definitely how long the wandering. Because I do remember my own thesis process, and while I enjoyed it, obviously you want to pick a thesis topic that you really like. Eventually you get a little weary of it because you're trying to gain all of this information and you're trying to travel this road with your thesis committee and try to work together. But oftentimes I would end up wandering. I would end up on the wrong path or thinking that I would never reach the end. And I noticed that through the passing of time, sometimes it was very easy because sometimes I would start to wander off, and that's what the thesis committee was for, to rein me back in, keep me hyper-focused on the goal I was after, and those would be wonderful results. But sometimes I would have these sleepless nights worrying about what was going on, and sometimes I would just get so overwhelmed and so exhausted that instead of letting my thesis committee help me, I would go in and fight with them a little bit. And Reverend David Matsumoto out at the Institute of Buddhist Studies says very proudly, weirdly, but also very often, he likes to tell other students that during the thesis process, he made Reverend Thompson cry. I don't know why he's so proud of that, but I know that a lot of that was my fault too. I got so weary and so frustrated that I would just sort of take it out on whomever instead of accepting the help that I really needed. And so when we look at passages like this, when we think about things like the pursuit of wisdom or knowledge, and I don't know, my thesis had a lot of Batman comics in it, so it might not be knowledge on par with some of my other colleagues, but it was a lot of knowledge that I gained, and I was able to gain not only the book learning, but a greater appreciation of trying to accept help, trying not to go talk to people when I am exhausted and grumpy. And though I haven't necessarily gotten rid of all of those traits, I certainly have gone to try to talk to people when I'm not feeling great and then end up kind of veering off the path because I cause some sort of disharmony or discord. But at least I have that in the back of my head. Along this very exhausting, weary path, I was able to gain some tiny modicum of knowledge, not only about the academic topic, but about myself. And so in looking at this passage again, I can look at it both from the perspective of the capital A, awakened person, and from my own perspective, which is the lowercase a, tiny, foolish being perspective. I know that from the side of great wisdom, compassion, the night is long for that watchman, but long because the Buddha knows how long and how deep our suffering goes and how deep our foolishness goes. And that's why he made vows to ensure that we would eventually come to capital A, awakening. The Buddha knows how long the road is and how weary we little tiny lower class A's can get, because sometimes it's very, very difficult for us to get to the point where we want to be. And the Buddha knows how long the wandering of many lives to all of us little foolish beings who miss the way. But again, seeing it from the tiny A perspective, we do know how long the night is when we are trying to watch and trying to attain this goal, and how long that road is, because sometimes we can get to our goals quickly, we can do what we want to do, but more often than not, we find ourselves wandering on many different paths, and sometimes we learn great lessons, sometimes we pull little nuggets that hopefully we will be able to use, but also remembering that this is our path as tiny, lowercase a, awakened beings, that we are awake, but we are unaware. So as we consider our lives, as we consider the Dharma, we can remember that we have capital A awakening out there, wisdom, compassion that enfolds us all the time, that encourages us, no matter how much foolish wandering we do, to continue on whatever path we're on and try to gain from it, so that hopefully we can realize with great joy that that wisdom compassion is enfolding us. It is guiding us and calling us back to our home of homes, the great light of the Pure Land, the great light of wisdom compassion. And when we say Namo Amida Butsu, sometimes it might be by rote, but sometimes it is in that great gratitude that I am a foolish being. I am a traveler who sometimes veers off the path and goes to wandering and spends many sleepless nights. But to the Buddha, that's okay. I am okay just as I am. So thank you guys for joining us this morning, and we'll go ahead and close with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.
China